So you want to aim like this. Maybe you want to move like this. Or you want to finally be consistent with those PK shots just like this. But look no further, because today I'm going to be walking you guys through each and every single individual setting that will instantly improve your gameplay in Apex Legends Season 20. As I said before, I'm going to be going through every single setting, showing the pros and cons between each and every single one of them so that you can decide what's going to be best for your playstyle. But before we get into that, my name is Mizery. I post movement-based gameplay, so if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe. And if you have any questions that go further in the comment section, then please do feel free to reach out to me either through Discord or on my Twitch channel. Links to those will be in the description. And finally, if you guys want an updated movement guide to move like me without tap strafing, then get this video to 500 likes. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. Alright, so as previously stated, I'm going to be going through every single setting. So let's just go ahead and start at the very top at gameplay. So this is going to be arguably the most important tab about the entire thing, because if you don't have these correct, then you're pretty much not going to be able to see anything, and you're going to be putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. So the very first item on the list is interact prompt style. If you're new to the game, I suggest keeping it on default, as this will allow you to familiarize yourself with any items that are on the ground. But once you start to get used to all these items, then I would highly suggest turning it on to compact, as the visual clutter just really isn't necessary at that point. And then the next setting is completely up to preference. If you like your button hints going on, then keep it on. If you're playing with new binds and you sometimes forget what binds you're on, I would keep it on. I just keep it on so people know that I'm on roller, but you can always turn it off and it'll make your game look a little more crisp. But again, it is really just preference. That one doesn't matter too much. And then for these next two, let me turn on the dummies just so I can demonstrate. Crosshair damage feedback. Starting at off. If you turn off your hit markers, there's going to be one huge benefit, but there's also going to be a few different things that may screw you over. So starting off with visual clutter. If you shoot an enemy and there is no hit mark, there's no visual clutter essentially. Besides the little numbers that you kind of need for callouts and stuff like that, there's going to be a very small amount of visual clutter compared to if you had the hit marks on. So the first issue that I have with it is if you were ever in a fight and you throw a nade down, if you're not looking directly in their direction, then you won't get that damage number. And on top of that, if it's already loud around you, then odds are you won't hear the shield crack or the damage to their health. So that's really the only issue that I found with playing with it off. But I really do think that playing with it off will help overall, just because it does reduce visual clutter. Now, when you want to play with it on, this is pretty much the exact opposite with it off. I know it's pretty obvious, but you will have a little bit of visual clutter compared to it with it off. And the benefit is if you ever do throw a nade, you're looking away, you're behind cover, you can't hear them, boom, you still get the hit marker knowing that you did damage or that you just knocked them. Now the third, and what I never really see people using, is X with shield icon. I don't know why this is really still in the game. Everybody already knows the shield colors, so honestly, I would just highly suggest that you don't play with it. It's just unnecessary visual clutter. Alright, and next, we got the damage number. Personally, I play with stacking just because I feel it's easiest to make callouts with that, but some people play with it off just because they are really concerned about overall visual clutter, so they'll play with off and off on crosshair damage, which is really trippy, but some people like it like that. I'm not one of those, so I will be showing the stacking, floating, and both. The floating is essentially going to have the numbers just fly up with each individual hit. Now, if you don't want to count every single hit, I would highly suggest either playing with both or with stacking. This is because callouts are going to be much easier if you have it on both compared to just the damage numbers floating up. Alright, and now with ping opacity? I don't know if that's how you say that. Either way, I play with this on default just because I've noticed that overall the benefits of having it on faded, I don't know, like sometimes I couldn't really see where my teammates pinged. And again, with the visual clutter, I know it's a really big topic with this kind of stuff, but the visual clutter just really isn't that bad with the ping. So I've always kept it on off. However, if you do feel that your or your teammates' pings are getting in the way of your shots, then I would suggest turning on faded. I play with this on just so you can see the player kill feed. I don't know why you would ever play with this off. Minimap rotation off. There's really no reason to play with it on. Weapon auto cycle on empty. Keep this off. You do not want the game to be auto cycling your weapons for you. Trust me, if you're new, you may be used to it, switch this off ASAP. You want to be doing that all by yourself. It's going to throw you off eventually, I promise. You're going to lose some gunfights because of it. Auto sprint, I highly suggest getting this on. This is going to help with overall movement, as you're going to be able to reach the maximum velocity as fast as possible. And one common myth that I always see with people is they say, oh, you can't walk if you have auto sprint on. No, you just push your stick forward a little bit less. It's as simple as that. Double tap the sprint. Dude, I don't know why in the world you'd want this on. Just keep this off. And if you have auto sprint, it's not going to make a difference either way. Jetpack control, I personally play on toggle. I've recently been playing a lot of Valkyrie, and you guys know that. And for most players, it's not really going to be a big issue because nobody really plays Valkyrie, unfortunately. So if you do play Valkyrie, just play between the two of them, see which one you like most, and I'm sure you'll find it pretty fast. Incoming damage feedback. I keep this on 3D. Some people like it on 2D, but my philosophy on this is that if I'm on 2D and I got shot from above, all I'm going to see is that I got shot from behind, so I'm going to turn directly around instead of turning up. So personally, I feel that playing on 3D is going to be overall helpful for most people, just with spatial awareness and stuff like that. Taking damage closes death box or crafting menu. Please keep this off. There is literally no reason to keep this on. It's going to make things like armor swapping, swapping weapons in a clutch fight, all that kind of stuff very impossible to do if you keep it on, because every single time a caustic trap or an enemy bullet from 30 miles away hits you, it's going to close it automatically, and you do not want that happening. All right, off-screen portraits. What the heck is this? Pop up. If you're new to the game, I would highly suggest keeping this setting on, as it's going to help you find and figure out what attachment does what. But if you're not new to the game and you already know what the attachments do, then I highly suggest just turning this off. Streamer mode, don't worry about that. Anonymous mode, don't worry about that. Sharing, don't worry about that. Performance display, I see a lot of people play with this off, but I highly suggest that you keep it on, because if your frames ever drop or your ping goes above a certain level, you do not want to be taking fights during that spike in ping or drop in frames. So always keep that on. It's a little box at the top. It's not going to really affect you. All right, and now reticle. This is one of the most important settings because it's going to determine whether or not you see people in your reticle 90% of the time. Personally, I have found that a nice light blue just works perfectly, but that is only for my eyes. So if you don't like that, maybe try out red, try out blue, try out pink. Just try each of them out and you'll eventually figure out what works best for you. Colorblind mode, I keep it on the fourth one over, as it keeps all of my shields and everything looking bright and just really good. And then all of these don't really matter. All right, and our next settings tab is going to be controller. All right, so our next tab is the controller tab. Now, this is probably going to be the most customizable tab, so take everything with a little grain of salt. You might have to fine tune this to yourself, but I'm going to be sharing what personally works for me and how to find what will work for you as well. So, starting out with our button layout. Button layout is extremely crucial to movement, aim, and just really everything in Apex. So, the number one tip that I will give you is you want to keep these two little thumbs on the joysticks at all times. Whether you have paddles or not, I need you to keep these two thumbs on the joysticks at all times. That means finding a custom bind that allows you to do all of the major movements like jump, interact, holster, melee, just anything, literally anything you can think of, while keeping your thumbs on the sticks. That is the most important advice I can possibly give you right now. Now, stick layout. Keep this on default. I don't know why you would ever do anything else unless you're already used to playing some other kind of layout just from other games like COD. Interact/reload button, I keep this on tap to use just so I don't have to hold down. It surprisingly does help with movement. It allows me to spend as little time as possible on these two interacts, which gives me more time to fight enemies and stuff like that. Crouch button, I suggest you play this on hold. It's going to help with bunny hopping, all that stuff. I've touched on that in past movement guides, and I'll probably touch on it in the future as well. But just keep this on hold. It's going to help you out a ton. Aim button, keep that on hold. Don't know why you'd want that on toggle. Survival slot button, I keep this on off so I'm able to interact using my fists and any other kind of interact with heirlooms or stuff like that. Most people don't know that, but if you keep your D-pad left for interacting instead of survival slots, then you will still be able to interact spam even on console without any kind of steam binds. Adaptive triggers, I have this on, but that's really just for PS5 controllers. Trigger dead zone, keep this on none. You want your triggers to be as responsive as possible. Then your cruiser speed, you want to have fast, quick looting and fast, quick shield swaps as well. So keep this on a higher end of things. Movement dead zone, keep this on small. You want to be as responsive as possible when it comes to moving your left stick, so keep this on small. I wish they gave us a none option, but unfortunately there is a built-in dead zone, which can really screw over controller players, but womp womp, gotta deal with it. Inverted look, again, if you played with a upside down controller, I have seen that a few times, then obviously keep this on. You already know that, but don't know why you would want that if you didn't. Vibration, keep this off. I know there was a lot of people, including my older brother, that like to keep it on because it allows them to time the slides and stuff like that. Keep it off. It's messing with your aim. I promise you, you will not regret it in about a week. And now, the most important area, advanced look controls or just normal settings. if you're completely new to the game and you want to stick to these, if you're completely new to the game and you want to stick to the basics, I suggest playing anywhere from 6-4 to 4-3. Now, as you get better at the game, you will want to definitely customize things through custom look controls, otherwise known as advanced look controls, ALCs. Personally, these are my current settings with my PS4 controller: 1% dead zone, 4% auto threshold, 0% response curve for linear, 500/500, 200/200, and then 10 extra on pitch. Obviously, I went a few months without playing any aim assist, but recently I have switched back, so that is on and on right there as well. And then per optics, these are very, very important. I like to keep these on 1.0 besides any kind of sniper, and I guess they just added the sear passive in. So sear players, 1, you're gross, but 2, you can customize this if you want to turn around faster. Maybe 5. I've never really played sear, I'm not a weirdo. But anyways, that is it for the advanced look controls and overall controller settings. Now I'm going to be getting into the videos tab, and then we're going to end off with the audio tab. So if you are on console, your video settings are going to be very, 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 very limited compared to us PC players. However, if you do play on a next-gen console, I highly suggest that you play 120 Hz as long as your monitor supports it. Now, for all my PC players, I highly suggest that you play on full screen 16:10 resolution. This is a perfect compromise between 4:3 stretch resolution and 16:9 native resolution. I personally play with a custom NVIDIA resolution 1728x1080p. However, any resolution like 1680x1050 is going to be pretty much exactly the same. Now, this goes for everybody. Brightness, depending on your monitor and your exposure settings on your monitor, I suggest keeping it just high enough to where your game is very nice and bright, but it isn't bleeding out all the colors as well. Now, FOV. I used to play 120 FOV. However, recently I have switched back to 110 as I feel that my aim is just much more consistent on a lower FOV. However, you can try out anywhere from 90 to 110. I suggest that range. Don't go any lower and don't go any higher. Alright, FOV scaling. You want to keep this on disabled. Let me show you what this does. When you go to somewhere in like Octane and you stim, you want your FOV to stay consistent. Now, if I were to have it on or enabled, every single time I stim, it's going to push my FOV out and slowly bring it back in. This is going to make consistency in aim much, much harder. So I personally suggest keeping this off. This goes as well for sprint view shake. You want to keep it on minimal, just so you don't have to deal with so much shaking when you're sprinting. Now, VSync, keep this on disabled. This is how you're going to get the lowest possible input delay on PC. NVIDIA Reflex, if your PC can handle it, enable plus boost. Adaptive resolution, FPS target, keep this on 0. Adaptive super scaling, disabled. Anti-aliasing, keep this off. Texture streaming budget, low. Everything, just keep it on low or just disable it completely for the highest frames and lowest input delay possible. Now, for our last area, I suggest that you play anywhere from a 50 to a 70% master volume. Please keep your voice chat on push to talk. We do not want to hear your TikTok in the background or you eating Cheetos. Just keep it on push to talk. And for all of these things, keep music on the lower end of things as well as dialogue, and then max out sound effects. Alright, and that is it for today's video. I hope it was helpful. Again, if you guys want an updated movement guide when it comes to what I've been doing and practicing without being able to tap strafe, then please do drop a like. I'll be dropping that once this video hits 500. And yeah, make sure you subscribe for my Valkyrie arc. Check out my Twitch if you want to hang out with me and a bunch of other cool people. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.